Welcome to the It Matters podcast. I'm your host, Walter Perez, and let's dive in as we help you grow your mindset and elevate your leadership. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the It Matters podcast. Thank you for joining me again, man. I love your support and I love just the community that we're building here on the It Matters. And I really appreciate you guys. I wanted to bring you another episode today, and this one's a solo episode. And I wanted to talk about your relational inventory. We're going to dissect that a little bit, but I've been thinking a lot about different things, and as you know, that my mind's always in leadership and trying to figure out ways to add better value to you. And I thought one way we can do this is just bringing some clarity into the relational aspect of leadership. And so, leadership can be defined in a lot of different ways. Leadership, can be defined as influence. It can be defined as impact, adding value. It can be proposed as servanthood. There's different aspects of leadership that really bring it alive with trust and communication and clarity. And the common denominator in all of this is that people are part of that. You know me, and I've gone on rants before on this podcast about leadership is not about managing. It's not about products. It's not about projects. It's about people. And so I then propose this question to you. How is your relational inventory in your life? And what really kind of got me thinking about this, I got reminded of a quote, and John Maxwell, I believe that is the one that gets kind of credit for it, even though I think that he actually got it from somewhere else. But regardless of who said it, this is the quote, and I think it's a good one. And here, I'll share it with you. He who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. So my question to you is, are you taking a walk? How is the following taking place in your leadership? This is a very important part of leadership, because if nobody's following, then what's up for question here is, are you truly leading and are you truly adding value? Now, the interesting part about having a following in your life and what makes you a leader in that is that there's different dynamics to having followers in your life. And so I want to dissect that a little bit. And so one way to look at this is that you have people in your life that you have responsibility over. And those are sometimes the most common following that we are aware of, and the ones that we kind of think about. If you might be a boss, you might be a leader in a organization or in a group, and you have people that you are responsible for, that they answer to you. And so that now has not only given you a leadership position, but a leadership responsibility over them. And so I'm wondering, have you thought about how that following looks like in your life? Are people actually buying into your leadership? Are they buying into the quality of your leadership and what you bring to the table? And so that's really important to understand. But you also have to remember that people that you have responsibility over are not the only type of people that you want in your life. There's also people that are equal to you on the level, a playing field, that are maybe your colleagues, your friends. You have some equal responsibility, and they are people too that sometimes can be a little bit harder to lead, because there might be this comparison game that is being played, or even a competition, a competitive edge in there. And though there could be a healthy aspect to that, we have to be very careful about that, because in the world of leadership, as we try to put people first, we want to add value. And when we are in this competitive mode, we can sometimes try to make people less than, and we try to step over people. And that is not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win together, and we're trying to bring people with us on this leadership journey. And so, have you thought about how you interact with the people that are equal to you, the people that have equal responsibility? Do you have relationships that matter in those circles? The other way to look at this too is, how do you interact with people that are above you, people that maybe have gone before you, that have more wisdom, that have more experience, that are maybe in positional leadership higher levels than you are. How do you interact with that? Do you get scared? Do you get intimidated to lead up? I hope that you don't, and I hope that you're thinking and really discerning and figuring out the wisdom behind that and how you can lead those people that are above you. And then the other one to look at too is how do you lead yourself? Because what leading yourself is so important. And yes, if you're starting out your leadership journey, you've heard me say that before, you need to start by leading yourself, but you can't just hang out there. Once you figure out those disciplines, those new habits that you need to create to be able to lead yourself, then you have to ripple that out. You have to ripple effect that into leading those around you. And so, when was the last time you took a relational inventory? Because if leadership is all about relationship, which by the way I am totally for that, and I believe that 100% that of that, because if you're going to lead people, you're going to have to learn how to interact. You have to learn how to influence them. You're going to have to learn how to gain their trust. You're going to have to learn how to be more clear in your messages, in the way that you lead, in the way you communicate, in the way you do life. And so if people are going to be part of that, then relationships are going to be super important. Now, the interesting part about relationships is that relationships can be hard. So, leadership, nobody ever said the leadership was going to be easy. And in fact, I believe that leadership is an art. And in going deeper into that, I think that leadership comes alive when we lead in challenges, when we lead in hard times. So don't be running away, don't be scared of the hard things. Embrace that and learn how to navigate. Become that leader that brings vision, that brings problem solving, that brings different ideas and ways to solve things and create a better future, that brings hope into the present and into the future, so we all can lead well. And as you have heard me say multiple times, that we believe here at the Leader Co. and through this podcast that the when that things are done well, it is a win-win when the leader leads well. It's a win-win when the leader leads well. And so that's the idea here. It's not just about you winning, but it's about all those other people around you. And I'll take a moment here to really hit it home and remind you that we are here to add value to people and not be selfish in our leadership. We're not here to be selfish, but we're here to be selfless. And in that, it'll take some sacrifice, it'll take some work, it'll take the adding value, the idea of adding value to people so they can be better, they can be a better version of themselves. And I am a strong believer that in that, you then become a better version of yourself too. And so, how are you doing with all these relationships in your lives? How are you doing with the ones that you're responsible for? How are you doing with the people that are in the same level playing field as you? How are you with those that you have to answer to? It's this idea of a 360-degree leadership. And if you're going to lead well, and if you're going to become a better leader, you got to be mindful of all those areas, because you're going to find yourself in places where you're going to have to lead on all those aspects. And I have definitely found myself. In fact, one of the biggest challenges that I've had in all of this arenas, I mean, I've worked through them, and I'm always working on all those levels, but uh, in opportunities that I've had where I've been in rooms where people have been smarter than me and more experienced and older than me, is the challenge of how to lead up, the challenge of how to lead those that sometimes feel like they know it all, that sometimes feel like they have arrived. And so that can be a challenge, but it's an awesome challenge because I grow, I learn, and I need to come also with the perspective of growing and learning. And so I would really encourage you to take an inventory of your relationships in that way. Another thing to think about too is maybe saying it in this way, like do you have an inner circle? Now, your inner circle doesn't have to have, hundreds of people. In fact, I would recommend that you have a handful of close people that you can be accountable to, that you can share some of the hard times, some of the wins and victories that you're going through, so you can get counsel and you can get feedback. So, how are those inner circles looking like? And then you might have some other layers around that circle that are more further apart, that are not ones that you fully trust with all the details of your life, but you do have to work with them because they are part of your bigger vision. I mean, we can go all the way to even talking about strangers on this relational scale. You might not interact with certain people all the time, and you might just actually interact with them once in your life because they're strangers, or they're interacting with your business or your life or your groups or whatever it is, but those people still matter. And so my question to you is, do you have the mindset that when you interact with people that you want to add value and you want to be able to um, leave them better than they came in, if I can say it that way? See, people are going to matter, and if you start working in a perspective that I'm going to add value and I'm going to give, I'm going to be generous, I'm going to be able to lift people up, regardless of what they're going to give back. You've heard me say this before. I assure you, it will come back around, and it will build your character. It will help you understand people better. It'll make you a better person. It'll help you be more generous, and you'll end up living that out, and it'll become who you are, not just sometimes, not just at work, not just in your business, not just with these people. You become this person that is consistently the same all around. And when people start knowing that about you, they want to get around you. When people that meet you for the first time, it's going to ooze out of you this personality, this characteristic, this leadership quality that people want to get around you. And it doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert or outgoing, not outgoing, whatever your skill sets or your strengths or your personality are, you can be a leader within all that. And so relationships do matter, but it starts by us valuing relationships. So if you're going to be a great leader, you're going to have to start thinking about all types of relationships, even the ones we don't like. And what do I mean by that? The ones that we don't even like? Sometimes we're going to have to create boundaries in our life that not everybody has to have access to you. And so that's part of the idea here about being a leader, is knowing the dynamics of these relationships. There's relationships that you're going to have to pursue and you want to attract and welcome into your life because they're going to be important to you and they're going to make you better. There's also other relationships in your life that you're going to have to be cautious about how much time you spend with those people, and it's a responsible thing to do, and you can't feel guilty about that. And you have to be able to say, well, I only spend X amount of hours, X amount of days, X amount of time with these type of people because they're not actually that good for me, or I can only handle that type of negativity from them. And that's really the responsible thing to do behind boundaries, is that people can be negative and they can end up sucking life out of us. And then there's certain people, and this is going to be tough for some of you, where we just have to snip and we have to cut people off, and we can love them from afar. But if these people are not understanding the importance of also returning the value and returning the love and returning the positivity and the good impact that you need in your life, well, there's some people that we may have to cut out for a short period of time, and some of them we just might have to do it for a long time or forever because they're just not good for you. And depending on where you're at in life and in the seasons that you are, capacity is going to play into that. Responsibility, different responsibilities in your life, different things, attributes that you are carrying in your season of life will matter. And so this is not at all meant to be like a negative conversation. It's meant to just encourage you and think about, like, okay, I need to take a relational inventory so I can lead better. And when you understand the people that are in your life and what role they're playing in your life, then you can serve them better as well. And so then you're not giving all your time to people that don't um, actually appreciate it or don't deserve it. I will even say that. And then there's other people that do deserve it and that do require it and that you should be investing. And you can start thinking about that. Because as leaders, something that we need to be thinking about as well, not just in the present time of just leading the project or whatever we're doing right now, but also leading to mentor and to coach and to think about legacy leadership. And so as we think about that, all this can come together and the puzzle comes together and you can feel confident in your leadership. And you can also look back and go, yeah, this is where I came from. This is where I'm at and where I'm going. And I am improving and I am leading well. Because remember, you can lead, but it doesn't mean you're leading well. You might be leading now and you might have relationships in your life, but you might not be managing or guiding them or leading those well. And so you need to really stop and take time to dissect that a little bit, because it's only going to bring fruit moving forward. And so I hope that this really jives with you guys, because like I said at the beginning of this episode, leadership can be defined in many ways. But if I can get you all to understand that leadership is relationship, then relationships are going to matter and relationships are going to get impacted, and you're going to maneuver through relationships a little bit different. And remember that just because a relationship is hard doesn't mean we have to quit it. Sometimes we have to also learn how to maneuver and take responsibility in that as well, in our part, because there's always a lot of moving parts and relationships are tough and relationships need to be grown and you need to work at it. And so don't shy away from hard relationships. Let's work on them and let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves that we're actually legitimately putting effort and we're actually trying. But if you're just quitting relationships because you're afraid of getting uncomfortable or you're afraid of having hard conversations or doing hard things, well, I think that you should also pause and make sure that that relationship with yourself is figured out, so then you can learn how to lead yourself well, and then you can lead others even better. So I hope this inspires you. Please comment, please share somebody that needs to hear this. It's a simple teaching, it's a simple idea, but it's not always the easiest one to apply. And so I hope this makes you better in your relationships, in your business, at work, in your family, in your friendships, wherever you're interacting with people, and on all levels, from close relationships to strangers. Make them the best that they can be. And so I leave you with this. I want you to dream big, grow always, lead well, and I'll catch you next time.